once we're live, we
think
go,
you're live now.
Yeah. I think we're live. If I'm assume we're live, and we have adoring fans out there that have just been refreshing their browser, wondering where we are, asking their friends, do you know where the Silverliners are? Where is Wednesday Wham? We're here. Some technical difficulties. So we are live, and it is Wednesday, and that means Wednesday Wham from Silverline. We've got a great crew tonight. We're going to talk about some awesome stuff, comic books, pop culture, storytelling, and so forth. And before we get started, I want to thank the Daytona Beach Comic Convention for their support of Wednesday Wham, of Silver Sunday and Tuesday Goof Day. What is Tuesday's name? Does Tuesday have a name? All of our shows and Silverline as a whole. September 18th and 19th, we are going to be a bunch of us Silverliners at the Daytona Beach Comic Convention at the table at our booth, and we've got lots of goodies. The first 250 folks through the door get a poster, and then your grab bag. You're going to have cards in there, signature cards with attendees' faces on there, and you're going to get some cool swag. So mark your calendars, September 18th and 19th for the Daytona Beach Comic Convention. We will be there. And then that's it for announcements, I think. We're just going to roll right in. We've got Dean, we've got Aaron, we've got Barb tonight. Jeremy might be joining us. I don't know if he's having troubles getting on. We've had some issues with how we're streaming. So if you're watching us, thank you for being here. And we love comments and questions as we go along. They don't always have to be about what we're talking about. They can be about projects we've got, projects we've done, what's in the future for Silverline as we go along. They don't always have to be about the business of making comic books and writing and so forth. I'm very new to this industry, so I very often defer to my colleagues who are veterans of the comic book world, and they know, and they can tell you the pitfalls to avoid or whatnot if you've got questions about the industry. So I'll have folks say hello, give a quick rundown of just what Silverline projects you might be working on, or you've penned or inked, and what might be in the future. So I'll start with Barb. Barb, say hello.
Hi guys, Barb Kelberg, long time comics creator. For Silverline, I am the creator, inker, co-writer, and colorist for my own book, Divinity. I am the inker for the first 4 issues of Cat and Mouse, and I'm currently inking number 4. I am the colorist for the Sirens graphic novels. I've already colored one of the graphic novels, and I'm getting ready to start this next one. And I am the CFO of Silverline. I just spent the last 2 days catching the books up, so I haven't done any artwork in the last 2 days.
So it's tough counting all those zeros, right? I mean, to put a comma, 00, comma, 00, comma.
It's tough prying invoices out of Peach and rolling.
Thanks, Barb. Hey, Aaron, what are you working on right now?
I am actually working on. Unfortunately, I'm working on client work.
Oh,
so,
boring.
Yeah, I know it's not as exciting as comics, but yeah. And I don't think it'd be really exciting for me to watch. I'm working in Illustrator.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
what's in the hopper for Silverline for you? You got anything?
I just finished the pencils on issue 1 of Obsoletes, so that's in the can. And then when they get the script in, I'll be working on Obsoletes 2.
Awesome.
So,
And you
I did Fire Rush. I was the artist of Fire Rush. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And you've got your own project, Godlings, that we talked about last week a little bit.
Yeah.
And working towards the wrapping up that story, right?
Yeah, I have one more issue to go. I have at the color 3 pages, and I have one more issue, and then the whole massive book will be done.
That's it. Yeah. That's exciting. And
it is.
Dean, always marketing, always advertising, always what's over? What do you got there, Dean? Over the shoulder.
Just happened to have a banner behind me for my title I'm working on called Silver Blade. A lot of folks might know me from Cat and Mouse, the debut of the reboot, is one that I penciled, and part of number 2. And Barb's wonderful inks were on those pages. I'm currently working on a project for Silverline that we can't really talk about, but we're going to announce soon. And you know what I'm talking about. And trying to get those pages out so that we can promote it. I unfortunately won't be at Daytona, but plan to be at some other shows coming up soon. And one of them's about a couple months after, actually. But we'll wait and talk about that when the time comes. But I'm excited about the subject matter tonight. I think it'll be cool. We're going to talk a little bit about, I guess, craft in a way tonight. Why don't you set that up for us, Scott?
Yeah, so tonight's topic, if you've all been waiting, is we're going to talk about genres. And just saying genres doesn't sound terribly interesting by itself. But we are going to be talking about the world of storytelling and our craft, and we talk about comic books, but we very often veer off into movies and literature and so forth. And we want to talk about how writing story to fit a genre makes sense, but then very often doesn't make sense after you get the idea for your story. After you get where's it going to fit mostly? A lot of times it'll fit nicely into one genre. But very often it will have elements from others, and or you may not be clearly defined. And it's a funny thing with art. If you were to write for a publisher, most of the time they want to say, well, what genre does it fit in? Mostly because they want to tell the bookstores where to put it. And that makes life easy for everybody. Okay, this is a science fiction, it will go in science fiction. But in the art world of creating, sometimes it's tough. You don't want to be narrowed down into one. You don't want to necessarily be defined so much by the genre. So we're going to talk about all of that. And we're going to talk about Silverline titles that are available, and some of them are oldies that are going to be resurrected, I think. And full disclosure, I'm not familiar with all of the Silverline titles. And we can talk about upcoming titles as well. I will happily talk about Steam Patriots and where it fits or doesn't fit. And if you guys have listeners, viewers out there, if you have a title that you want to talk about, how does it fit in its genre, or what genre is it? Toss it up in the comments on Facebook. I'm keeping an eye on Facebook. We're kind of wearing a couple hats tonight. Keep an eye on Facebook, and we're trying to keep an eye on YouTube to see if you guys have comments. But I asked the guys here to come up with some titles as well that might not fit perfectly with one genre. You can't say that it's definitely one or definitely the other, and that makes for good conversation. So did I cover that, Dean? How was that?
Yeah, pretty well. I'll go ahead and list the major genres that most of the comic books fall into. We usually start, it runs along these lines. It's either superhero, manga, slice of life, humor, nonfiction, science fiction, fantasy, horror. Okay, those are just general categories. There can be subgenres underneath those, but we needed a foundation to start. And just to clarify, we're not claiming that these are, written in stone, etc. Mm-hmm. This is a foundation for the purposes of discussion. One could argue that anything that's nonfiction is fantasy, right? But for the purposes of marketing and ultimately commerce, because we want to sell our material, right, to the marketplace, it helps the reader, the fan, find their particular taste. Exactly. And, it's all candy in a convenience store, but it's got different wrappers that tell you what's inside, right? So we'll start there. And first off, what do you think? Why don't you start us off, Scott? What about your comic book, and where does it fit in, and does it also overlap into some subgenres?
So that's a tough one because steampunk. That people people put that as a subgenre of sci-fi because it's taking technology and changing the technology. Science fiction, a lot of times thought of as future stuff, future technology, but then within the sci-fi world, you've got dystopian sci-fi and utopian sci-fi, and but so steampunk is a sci-fi subgenre, but I have mashed it together with historical fiction. So in the general fiction category, and then you add the historical side to it. So mashup of sci-fi and historical fiction is how I would describe it. Okay. I think if I were to have to put it on a shelf, probably sci-fi, because it fits in the steampunk world, I think. Yes, it does, but
it does.
I think, and that would be the main genre. If we had to classify it to be the one that would grab the reader the most, and that honestly is my target audience a little more than the historical fiction. I wanted it to grab the sci-fi steampunk fans.
Can you give us maybe a 2 or 3 sentence elevator pitch so that fans who are maybe just joining us for the first time know what it's about?
So Steam Patriots is it's a story set during the America's War for Independence, but Benjamin Franklin has tweaked Steam technology and created steam boilers and steam engines and so forth that have changed the world. And our young hero is got a mind like no other, and he can see the mechanical parts and remember everything. And so our fictional hero meets up with Ben Franklin to help win America's independence from England. That wasn't all that coherent. I do have it written out much better. I should have it right here.
That's all. No, you just got to rehearse it over and over. So just pretend you're in an elevator with Spielberg,
right.
Like, okay, or John Favreau. Actually. Right. I love Star Wars. It's so cool. And I love Indiana Jones. Remember when? No. Barb, what about you? Tell us about Divinity for those who are just, maybe first-time viewers.
Divinity, I have a hard time pigeonholing that into one specific genre. I suppose if you had to pick one, it would be an action-adventure. Mm-hmm. But you throw in the element of a little girl who has healing powers, and you're getting a little bit of a supernatural vibe to it. And also, because they're on the run from an evil cabal, you have a thriller aspect to it, psychological thriller. So it's kind of a mashup of genres. I would probably, because it's got a lot of action and adventure and running and the whole fugitive vibe to it, I'd probably call it an action adventure with a supernatural twist.
Very cool, very cool. And your elevator pitch to Jon Favreau in the...
it's about Divinity Gray, an 11-year-old girl who, after a near-death experience, finds herself with mysterious healing ability. And because the world isn't always a good place, finds herself in danger from those that would like to take advantage of her gift. After the suspicious death of her parents, the older brother she barely knows, Marine Sergeant Zach Gray becomes her guardian, and their lives are changed forever as they go on the run with Zach's Marine friend, Olivia, to keep Divinity safe.
Awesome.
Is that for that's how's that?
Fantastic.
That was way more coherent than mine.
Yeah, so I'd written it out at one point.
I've written it out so many. I've been writing it out every which way. Can it be 3 sentences? It needs to be 4 sentences. Can you? Yeah.
Right. So what about you, Aaron? Talk to us, man.
Let me see here. I'm trying to think. What do you? Well, I'll do my story.
John first, and then the elevator pitch. To Jon Favreau.
My goblins would be a hard one to put into it. Dean's read some of it, so he knows.
It's awesome, man.
kind of-
Filoni. Hey, look, Dave Filoni would love this. He'd animate it. It'd be awesome. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's probably more fantasy, but has sci-fi elements in it. But it's very much more like, I don't know, like thought-provoking philosophy. Is that a genre that's more of a push in that angle?
It's cerebral. It's a cerebral fantasy.
Yeah, it's a little bit like that. It's got action in it, not as much. It does have, strange enough, a lot of death in it.
Is that a
good.
phrase that we are going to term now, a cerebral fantasy? You heard it here, folks.
Hey,
first.
man, I came to
Yeah. The
Silver Line,
Genesis
the whole
Evangelion, I think, would be considered a cerebral fantasy.
right.
And
Tonight
so
on Sounds of Space.
it is sounds. As my elevator pitch, I've worked on it. It's just about these three young gods that decide they don't want to be gods, and so they leave, and in the process, cause a rebellion, and end up destroying a lot of stuff. Then I just kind of leave it there. That only covers like not even half the story. The other half of the story is completely different. I don't know how much Dean has read of it, so he may know where I'm going. But the last half of the story is like one. I never want to say it online because like somebody reads it like there are surprises, and I want certain things in the story to hit you.
Oh,
like
yeah.
a gut punch.
Oh yeah.
Don't ruin it.
And so if you do read it, there's certain things. I've had people come back and like, you did this? I'm like, yes, I'm sorry. There's a reason for it all. It's all part of a mad scheme.
Game of Godlings. Your fans are coming after you. Why did you do this in season 7?
Yeah.
Why? What?
So as far as the other ones, I don't know. I mean, I think Obsoletes would be just straight up sci-fi, comedy sci-fi. There's a comedy bit, but you guys haven't seen it much. But it's the sci-fi story. It's all I can say so far. But
Very
yeah,
cool.
Fire Rush is more. It's horror, but it's not really. It's almost action horror, I guess. Would you say
It's
Fire
like
Rush?
Blade. It's like Blade.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, you
Yeah.
have like the Seraph, who's the vampire lady, and then Jake, who's reporter, and they're fighting the evil. So it's more like an action
Okay.
horror, I guess. That's the best way to describe it, I think. Yeah, a lot of things, if you look at them, don't fall into one specific genre. I think we like to pigeonhole so the bookstores know where to put them on the shelf. But,
Exactly.
you know, and quit putting them in the question mark section. We don't know. You figure it out.
We
And,
don't know. We don't.
Did you guys ever see the picture of the guy who took the mystery section and like turned all the books backwards so you couldn't see the spines?
Nice.
I
Nice.
was like, well, I think somebody posted, it was like, well played.
Clever young man.
I like that.
Um,
What about you, Dean? Your Silver Blade.
Silverblade. I would say it's definitely fantasy action adventure. It would fall into the same category as Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's set in the Victorian era, where we have two secret societies at war. One is an order of noble knights. The other is an evil cult of human traffickers. And this U.S. cavalry officer and a female archaeologist join forces with the knights to battle these human traffickers and also discover the reason that the metal silver destroys evil. And so that will be answered in the book as well. So there's the elevator pitch. The genres are mixed. The way Raiders was sort of mixed. I mean, like a straight up sort of action adventure serial, but it had supernatural powers in it. And because of the sequels, I guess now Indiana Jones is almost a superhero, even though he's really just an action hero, right? But what was nice about Raiders, and I like to talk about Raiders almost on its own because it has such a unique place in my book as, you know, my favorite movie, definitely in the top 5, is that you always wondered if Indiana Jones was going to survive because you got the impression he was out of his depth a lot, you know, and stumbled and bumbled his way through, and just through his intelligence sort of, and some good fights. You gotta work.
Flying by the seat of his pants.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was
Yeah.
part of the charm of the first one. So I'm going to throw a little bit of that tone in where the characters are in over their heads that, the knights have been fighting these cultists for, centuries. But, these people are like, what? You guys do what? And they're doing what? And I'm supposed to believe in this and then, join it and join the fight, whatever. So it's kind of we are entering through them as our surrogates. But definitely action adventure, sword fights, a lot of supernatural stuff mixed in. So, big fireworks show.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we've got a long list. Silverline's been doing stuff for a long time, and we've got a long list of titles. I don't think we're going to hit all of them, but we've talked about Divinity, we've talked about Steam Patriots, we've talked about Friar Rush, and we've got Silver Blade on the way. So we have, my goodness, we've got lots of other titles in the list here.
I think the one that most people associate with Silverline is Cat and Mouse.
Cat and Mouse.
Cat and Mouse. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
What do we think? That one.
Well,
Teen Titans.
definitely, I think it definitely falls into the superhero genre. I mean, superheroes don't always have to have powers.
Yeah, Batman.
You know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think it's firmly in the
You-
superhero genre.
If they don't have powers, what does the super part come in?
Well,
wits.
Batman is a superhero. He doesn't have powers.
Or is he just?
Yeah,
Is he just?
he's a
hero?
millionaire. That's his power.
Yeah.
Yeah, so is Tony. Yeah, Tony Stark doesn't have
Tony
any power
Stark
but his
and-
brain.
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne. The
His
trick
superpower is
be
his brain.
be a billionaire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, and
Just
don't
pay for
forget. I mean, Iron Man is also extremely intelligent, like brilliant.
Yes.
And also when he wishes to be very focused. I don't know if that's a superpower, but certainly the ability to focus. Now, with Bruce Wayne, you have someone who's rigidly disciplined, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's superpower either, but again, it's sort of the ultimate.
When you transcend what a normal person can do.
Yeah.
Without having superpowers, but then you're operating on another level.
I-
Then,
when-
How about the Punisher?
Yeah.
He's just a good
Yeah,
shot. I don't know.
What's that?
He's a good shot with the gun. He's a marksman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Hawkeye, right?
Hawkeye.
Yeah.
He has bow and arrow. You know.
Look at
I mean, these
Daredevil.
are just ordinary people that have got a skill.
Well, now Daredevil, I
They're-
guess, has
they're-
superpower.
He has a superpower. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the line between hero and superhero. I don't know. Are we splitting hairs? Because they're
Oh,
super.
no, I had a friend this weekend who said that. I'm like that. And she's like, well, I don't really like Batman because he doesn't have any powers. So she like almost didn't consider him a superhero. So I was like, okay. I mean, I'm not going to argue with her. I mean, it's all subjective, but I just thought it was funny. Where it was like,
Yeah.
no, the super part's completely lost on him. So I'm like,
Okay, we'll go with semi superhero.
yeah, I know. I don't know.
So
Cat and
and
Mouse.
with-
Cat and Mouse. What do you guys think? I mean,
Cat and Mouse. Superhero, action adventure, or action hero.
Were they supposed to be ninjas? Because they always look like they were ninjas in the
they're
book.
they're trained
They're
by a
ninjas.
ninja. So you
Okay.
basically have Robin, and they're like a male and female Robin. They're trained by experts, but they're young and learning as they
Okay.
go. So they get better, But that's why I always referred to them as like the Teen Titans almost of Silverline, because they're more the teenagers, who are learning and they're making mistakes, and they're certainly not at the superlative expert level of Tony Stark or Bruce Wayne or anything like that.
Yeah.
They may be one day. They have
or even Punisher or
Right.
Hawkeye,
right,
who are very skilled at what
At
they
what
do,
they-
but they're normal
Right.
human beings.
Right.
exactly. So what about let's see, Kalis? Do we know about Kalis?
Well, that's definitely sci-fi
That's
all the way, I would
Sci-fi,
think.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
We've got a guy that's doing time travel.
Yeah, CIA guy who
Can't get any more sci-fi than that.
kidnapped by aliens and then comes back down, and yeah, that's definitely sci-fi.
Do we know he was? Do we know what happened? He was just in space.
I don't think he's revealed it completely yet. I mean, I have issue 2, but I don't think it's been completely revealed, has it? He has one more issue to go, doesn't he?
Yeah, just
it strikes me as definite hardcore sci-fi. Actually, we're going to do the 3 and 4 together as a Kickstarter, I think.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Very cool. Very, very cool.
Yeah, that's sci-fi. Great. It's got action in it. Yeah. When you if you had to pick one, it'd be sci-fi. Hey, it looks like Haley's joining us. Are you there, Haley?
Haley?
And she's gone.
Oh, there she goes.
I scared. Thanks a lot.
What do they
Okay,
do about
she's
winking at people? Dean keeps waving at people and they run away.
They run away.
Yeah, Dean.
Quit waving. Put my hands down. Scaring them out.
Haley.
Yeah, I think
So Haley's joining us. Awesome. So
There she is.
Oh, Haley.
Awesome.
Hey.
Haven't seen Haley in like 6 months.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a comment here on YouTube.
Okay.
It said, Cat and Mouse was always called a street level superhero.
Oh.
So there, that sounds better than
Oh.
semi superhero.
not quite
level.
super street level. I like
okay.
that.
Yeah,
Ready.
street level superhero.
Fair
There you go.
enough. Excellent comment. Since we have Haley,
But then
do we want to talk?
Batman is sometimes a street level, and then sometimes he's a rooftop level superhero.
And then sometimes he goes into space.
Sometimes he's a cave superhero.
Yeah.
Cave level. Haley, we are talking about genres, as they say in France, and we have been trying to categorize some of our Silverline titles, and we are all of the belief that there are very few titles that sit firmly in one genre, because usually you have elements of numerous. What have you been working on, and what genre would you say it fits in? If you want to give a quick little synopsis of the story, we'd love to hear it. And it doesn't have to be all Silverline stuff, but start with what you've been working on for Silverline.
Yeah, so we just did issue 1 of Bear, which is about, it's like a Winnie the Pooh kind of world where the toys are alive and live in like a forest, and their kid has disappeared, and some of them are saying, oh, he's dead, but the main character, Bear, the kid's favorite bear, obviously, is the only one who believes, oh no, the kid's gonna come back, and so there's just chaos going around in this world of animals. And yeah, as far as genre, I mean, I guess it's kind of like not really parody, but maybe a little bit, because it draws from like Winnie the Pooh, Toy Story kind of stuff. And then
Yeah, it'd be hard to say. I guess it's for kids, but they kind of, they go to the bar and they get into like a kind of a goofy bar fight or something. So I was like, well,
sort of, yeah, there's like food flying everywhere.
Yeah,
so I guess you could say it's like all ages. I don't know if that's really a genre.
yeah.
I was thinking more as fantasy. To me, it's
fantasy,
pure
yeah.
fantasy. In the broadest sense. I mean, most people are so, I don't know, used to fantasy meaning swords and cape and elves and orcs and dwarves, but fantasy can be exactly Winnie the Pooh. Also, that's fantasy.
Yeah, living stuffed animals. Yeah.
Hey, Haley, are you able to turn your mic up a little? Because you're quiet. And I know you're soft-spoken no matter what. But
yeah, I don't know. Is that something I can do in
I don't know.
Discord, or I'm not sure.
I don't see Discord as an option. Just so you know, you're pretty quiet.
Okay.
So
I'll try to yell.
Just screaming.
So we talked about Cat and Mouse. We're talking about Kalis. We've talked about Steam Patriots and Divinity and Silverblade and Friar Rush. We've got, what I love about our titles is we have lots and lots and lots of different genres under the Silverline umbrella, and it's really cool. And they're all done so well. They appeal to lots of different people. And so we run the spectrum from fantasy, street level action to youthful with Bear, and it's a lot of fun. So I'm getting instructions here. Haley, if you go to settings, voice and video, you can adjust your volume, but I don't know where that is right now. So I've clicked away to Facebook. Let's keep going with our titles. This Switchblade. Has everyone read Switchblade?
Yeah. I mean, at least, I've read it.
Yeah. Street level.
Yeah.
Barb, I don't hear you now either.
Strange
I'm
enough.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry. Isn't
go
it a
ahead.
bit noirish too? Switchblade. It kind of touches on the old detective noir. Do you think, or is it all street level superhero?
I think that's elements of both. I would agree. It
Yeah.
Elements of the detective noir to it as well. It's sort of dark in tone, dark and a little bit more violent in tone.
Yeah. And the opening of the story is that kind of building of the hero, setting the hero up for why he does what he does and where his skills come from. That kind of street level. Do we have? I guess Kalis has superpowers. Yes.
Yeah, I think. But I know he's supposed to be invincible at least. I don't know what else.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that still falls under sci-fi.
That
There's
can
a
be
lot.
sci-fi.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm just wondering. Do we have any titles with
like superheroes?
Super.
Most of the
not-
heroes in are.
Champ and Miss Fury.
Yeah. That's.
I would still want to stay street level. As weird as it is, I see what he's saying. Like, we don't have any like Superman type heroes.
Right.
Yeah.
But
I'm trying to think.
That's great because I think people are getting tired of superheroes. They want something different. I do.
And it is tough. It's tough to because the big two have the superheroes, and it's
An Image
and honestly, and even from like my perspective, Scott Wakefield, I've got only so much money and time. Honestly, if I see another superhero, it's hard to pull me away. And even still, we talked about this last week too, about after a while too, you get tired of your own superhero because it just goes on and on and on and on and never has an end. But getting it, yes,
Beetle.
yeah, he's got a serum, right? So yeah, you're right. Getting another, it is tough. It is honestly tough to break people away from their Batmans and Supermans and Iron Mans and Captain Americas. It's tough. So, which I think we can do, but if our street level heroes, we've got a really cool group of heroes whose worlds when we talked about this. I don't know when we did, but crossovers and those ideas that what titles we could cross over. And a good portion of the Silverline world, the characters could potentially fit into a larger world, and they fit nicely together. So those action heroes, those street level, rooftop level, cave level heroes.
Cave level hero.
I keep picturing like a Neanderthal every time I see cave. I don't think Batcave.
Does any better remember Captain
what?
Caveman?
Yeah, I keep picturing that. But that's I can see that. I can see that. But I think what sets us apart is because we're independent and we aren't weighted down by decade after decade of continuity. We can really focus on unique story and excellent art because we're not just cranking stuff out, right?
Roland Mann says on YouTube, he says Demon is pretty close to a super-powered superhero, although I would think he's like kind of an anti-hero, wouldn't you?
Well,
Yes, yes. He's a
But he's superpowered.
superpowered being that doesn't really want a lot of attention. So a little bit of Wolverine there, Just,
Yeah, sarcastic.
sort of that leave me alone. I do what I do really well, and it's not pretty kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But
He's not a Boy Scout.
He does have superpowers.
He does.
Yes.
He does.
Okay.
He does.
Yeah.
Very much
Yeah.
like Nightcrawler,
Yes.
deal. But no, I think Silverline has a unique position because we aren't weighed down by that long history, and we do have the opportunity to break new ground and bring in new fans and go, aren't you guys tired of the same old, same old? We don't have the same old, same old. We've got new, bright and shiny.
Right. And new that doesn't have to.
That's
New that doesn't have to go through the corporate or be
Right. We're not
be
being
vetted.
told what
Right.
to say by suits.
Yeah.
Because number one,
Yeah.
Roland doesn't wear a suit ever. And
never,
not that
right.
I've seen. And messing with
Usually
Roland.
shorts in an Alabama.
There you go. Using Mississippi like me. But I mean, it's one of those things where, we are so free now, and with our delivery system being the World
Yeah.
Wide Web,
Yeah.
we're just not beholden to corporate interests. So we're really free, and that should excite the fans out there. It's like you're going to get unpredictable stuff, you're going to get new stuff, you're going to get fun stuff, scary, romantic,
Yeah, he's got
action
a
adventure.
he's got a serum,
good
right?
fight
So
scenes,
yeah,
good explosions, good
right.
good car
Getting another,
chases,
it
if
is
that's
it is
what you
tough.
want.
It is honestly
Or
tough.
crazy space adventure stuff.
Right.
And whatever you want, we've got it. Got it all.
I just
Yeah.
some
Also
every day
got-
just keep thinking of like you when you're saying like cats and dogs living together, mass
Together.
hysteria.
Area. I mean, that's
That's what we're gonna
right?
bring.
We also have books that are skewed to a younger audience, and we have
Yeah.
books that are skewed to a mature audience.
Yes.
The one I'm coloring right now, Sirens, it's a remix of an older, previously published title. I had to adjust a few things in there to cover up bits and pieces.
Yeah.
So it's definitely on the mature side. So
We
another
stay-
book that we do is Twilight Grimm.
I was
Oh yeah.
I was going to say, Barb, just to interject there, that we do stay at PG-13 because we want the widest audience that we can get.
Yes, hence the
Yeah.
coloring in those things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Adding a scrap of clothing here, as I go along. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Twilight Grimm. That's a good one to. So where does it fit when you take this fantasy element and you, I would say fantasy, but you put it in this. You got a vampire hunting hero.
And vampires. You got a street
And
level
vampires.
hero.
Yes,
And
street level hero.
vampires.
Yep.
So is that
So-
horror? Is that action horror, or is it
Yeah.
hero horror?
What's the difference?
No, I don't really-
What's the-
I'm just throwing that out there. Let you guys chew on that one for a while.
Is this ground floor? Is this mezzanine level?
Right,
Box seats hero?
man.
Which one
We're just throwing the football back and forth at this point. We're not defined.
We're just trying to come up with new terms now.
I know. We're about nomenclature tonight, guys. We're inventing.
We're gantry crane level, scaffolding. Where are we? We don't, sewer. Wait.
Uh-oh.
What level of the Ninja Turtles? Ninja Turtles
Sewer
are
level. I knew you were
sewer
gonna
level.
say
Sewer
heroes.
level.
Below street level.
Yes, indeed.
Twilight Grimm's a good one. It's I love the cleverness of that storyline, and I like when things are they don't always fit within their medium. And Dean, I think you're doing that with a little with Silverblade. You got this Victorian era with a little bit of magic or well, yeah, there's a little bit of magic, right?
Yeah. Divine magic, eternal magic.
Yeah. I think it's cool. I love that. Which I mean, we talked about a little before the show. Star Wars is sci-fi with magic, right? There's the Force is.
Roland said Scott Wakefield, Alabama, dude, Arkansas.
Huh?
Oh,
I don't. I don't even know what does he mean? I'm confused here.
You said he.
Huh?
You haven't ever seen him in a suit. You said you see him in an Alabama
t-shirt. Alabama, right? What?
He responds, dude, it's Arkansas.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Is it south of the Mason-Dixon line because it's all a blur for me. I know everything I'm saying is sacrilegious right now.
Here we go.
I know it.
No.
Please don't dox me. Don't nobody cancel me.
No. Boy, the rivalries are just the fans are now getting ready.
I know.
They're going to be flamed.
A lot of angry people. I've just angered so many people. I'm so sorry. When we get into the sports ball season, the professional sports ball season, I will be able to talk about nothing. Still, if Brent and I can just go on for many minutes.
Are you a Patriots fan? Is that what you're trying to say to us, Ryan? Just running out.
Dean. That was good. That was good.
Okay. All right, we're gonna leave it there.
I have no strong allegiances. Patriots, though. No, you hold your tongue.
Okay, we'll do. All right.
Okay, back to the subject at hand. We're getting toward we started late, so we're getting toward the end of our first hour here. It's approaching 9 o'clock on the East Coast. For those of you out there who have joined us, thank you very much. This is Wednesday, Wham, and we're talking about genres, how Silverline titles fit into those genres, and how genres help us define our story, but sometimes it's limiting. There's a purpose to them, so people understand, they know what they're getting into as a reader, or where they can find it in the bookstore, but sometimes it's difficult, which is fine, because if you write a complex story, maybe it's got multiple elements. Maybe it appeals to sci-fi and fantasy, or horror and suspense, and gothic horror, or street level action heroes. So it's a great thing to know what elements you have in your story as you're creating it, and it's fun to try to figure out how does this story fit, and sometimes you just can't shoehorn it into one genre, and that's fine. So the Silverline title lineup is rather lengthy, and if you haven't taken a look, I would recommend going to silverlinecomics.com, and Indeed. Across the top there's a drop down, and you'll see our titles there, and that does not even show titles that are coming up. We have lots and lots of creators working on stories that are just going to keep coming out. Dean got Silverblade right there over his shoulder, and we've got the continuation of Kalis on the way. So it's all very exciting, and our story worlds keep growing, and they fit a lot of different genres, which is fun. And it's fun to take our titles and think, okay, we've got elements of magic or sci-fi or history or action or heroes or superheroes. And I love talking about and dissecting all these little things. So seeing all the titles that Silverline has is a great thing. And if you want to talk personally to a lot of our creators, Barb, in a couple weeks, if someone wanted to meet you in person in the Sunshine State, how would they do that? But wait, Barb,
you're mute.
Your
mic.
Barb, they just might have to make their way to Daytona Beach.
What?
Because Daytona Beach Comic Con is the 17th. Is it 18th or 18th and 19th? I'm flying in on the 17th. Okay, I have that in mind. So it's the 18th and 19th of September.
And
wait.
Haley, if they wanted to meet you in the Sunshine State and get your autograph and talk about your projects, where could they do that?
At the Daytona Beach Comic Con, the 18th and 19th.
Wow.
Amazing! What a coincidence!
I have a feeling that Aaron, if they wanted to meet you,
Unfortunately, I'm not going to be at Daytona, but you can go to Rose City Comic Con in Portland, Oregon. No, I am not. We had a change of plans, but hopefully next year, next year I will be there.
Okay.
But you can come to Rose City in Portland, Oregon, and meet me. I will be there.
Portland, Oregon.
Yeah, the other. We have other states besides Florida. Florida, like 49 other ones. I think.
According to the news, there are.
I think some people are still debating whether certain states are states. That's up to you, I guess.
There's going to be a lot of silver liners at the Daytona Beach Comic Convention, September 18th and 19th, and I'm really looking forward to it. And folks, keep an eye on all of our social medias for upcoming appearances of Silverline folks. And I'm going to look it up. I've got Jeremy Kahn's going to be somewhere. I say Kahn. Is his last? Is it Kahn? Jeremy will be. Yeah, he'll be at he'll be in New York. I'm going to look that up and get that. So we're going to continue our conversation, folks. Though, if we want to divert into our free for all, you're free to do it. But we can continue our genre discussion. And what is coming up in the movies, what we've been watching, what we've been reading, what we love and what we hate about pop culture, and what we want to see more of, what we want to see less of. Feel free. I just watched, as always, I can bring up James Bond. They got a second trailer. Did you see it, Dean?
I have not seen it yet. This is news.
There's another one. There's another trailer for
No Time to Die.
No Time to Die.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that is James Bond a superhero?
Oh, here we go.
What makes him special?
Okay, okay. If we go to the literary James Bond, which is the foundation for the films, obviously,
yes.
What you have is an overpaid, overworked, underpaid British agent who is over it and drinks too much, and he's a womanizer, and he's just over the whole thing, and he's kind of living on the edge, hoping that maybe he'll buy it and not have to do this anymore. So it's a little more of an anti-hero, okay? A little bit more in the books. In the movies, he's a little bit more of a glamorous, suave spy that's sort of globe-trotting and, making his way through the world and maybe not wanting to kill so many people, but he has to do what he has to do. So I would say still really an anti-hero. But yes, his superpower would be, I would say, charm. What do you think?
Charm, that's good. That's good.
That's his number one skill. That and probably his bedroom skills.
Yeah.
Well, charm. I think Dean was implying charm.
Immunity to any kind of diseases, shall we say? Consequences for any actions whatsoever.
Yeah.
How do you know he's actually good in the bedroom? Every movie has a new girl, so maybe afterwards they finally get him in there. They're like,
whatever. Yeah.
That's why he's drinking all the time, because he's like, and once they find out about what I lack as a MI6 agent, then they leave. In every movie, I had to get a new girl.
Right.
He's like one of the previous girls from one of the movies jumps in. Don't even go there. I had him last movie.
I'm not going to talk about it. Right.
He did find what he found love. He got married once.
You saw that
out well.
I was going to tell you. Okay, if you want to read them, I noticed you bought a new set, Scott. Right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. You need to read the Blofeld trilogy first. Mm-hmm. I would say that's On Her Majesty's Secret Service, where James Bond gets married. Okay, and then Thunderball, and then which is the underwater adventure, and then You Only Live Twice, where he goes on a purely off the rails revenge hunt for the villain who is responsible for the death of his wife.
Yeah.
So that's the really it's the core of the series to me. Great series. So, for those who are curious about the literary Bond, the movies don't really carry that through as well because various, different casting and so on, and the time period was different when those movies were made. They had to make it out of sequence, actually, because it was snowing and they couldn't shoot in the place they needed to shoot. So You Only Live Twice came before On Her Majesty's Secret Service. It's supposed to be the other way around. Anyway, TMI. The movies are great. The books are even better. So enjoy if you want to.
Yeah, and No Time to Die comes out October 8th, and so I, being a good father, I'm going to rewatch the Daniel Craig series beforehand with my son, and so we're all caught up before we go see No Time to Die. Absolute favorite car, yes, the Aston Martin DB5. That is
excellent.
If I can only get one. So that's on my radar. Then Friday, right? Marvel movie coming out.
Indeed.
Thoughts? Have they gone too obscure?
What's the Marvel movie? Shang-Chi, Legend.
Shang-Chi, 10 Rings.
Indeed.
So I'm curious because Iron Man started the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and they mentioned the 10 Rings in that with the folks that capture him and Ho Yin Sen. But then that just kind of disappears, and then they have the Mandarin, who ends up not being a real person. He's just a personality. Spoiler if you haven't seen Iron Man 3. So I'm wondering how all this is going to tie in. But I do my one question is like they're diverting in the big screen world to kind of an unknown. Yeah. As far as like the general consumption of he's and they have run out of, when we talked about this last week too, they've run out of their main characters. And that's just the nature of they've exhausted, first of all, the lifespan. People get old. It doesn't sound like a comic book, and the storyline of the big characters. We're told that X-Men's coming in, so that'll be another big, well-known. And Barb, what were you going to say?
I was looking for an article I read earlier today, and speaking of Marvel, they're going to do a new mix-up of the multiverse. It's called Avengers Forever, and they are going to this is one that threw me. They're going to turn Tony Stark variant that becomes an archaeologist instead of an inventor, and the Ant-Man instead of Iron Man. That doesn't appeal to me at all. Yes.
Is this in the comic books?
There was an Avengers Forever comic book that was really good.
Is that a movie?
It's December 2021.
Interesting.
I think it might be a cartoon. I'm not sure, but it
Is
says.
that the What If?
Who would?
It could be part of
What If? Yeah.
It's
that's
Avengers Forever.
Okay, I got you.
Huh.
Yeah, it's interesting. They're doing. I think they're heading more into the fantasy realm to address your point, Scott, with the 10 Rings and so on. They're building toward the Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah. It says they're jumping into the multiverse.
The multiverse, right? Which is
where there's variants of everybody.
Right, variants of everyone. There's also, they're doing the Eternals that's coming up as well.
Yeah,
and that's super
Angelina Jolie in that.
Yes, that's more along the lines of as far as content. Some of the content you're writing, Aaron, and drawing. These are godlike beings who have been watchful over the affairs of humanity and have to interfere because of the dangers involved. And then we go on with Spider-Man No Way Home Ever Again, Not Coming Home. being more like Iron Spider than Spider-Man because of his spider suit that does all kind of crazy stuff. But I don't know. They're definitely expanding what I would call the fantasy of their universe. Less and less the sort of accepted world and more into the, hey, we're just going to go for it, guys. Just roll along with us and let's see what happens. And we'll see.
I know they haven't released it to the public, but they did have a description of the Matrix 4 trailer.
Ah.
That is.
You want to tell us about the Matrix?
Yes.
Give us a brief.
I know all I got from it was Neil Patrick Harris is in it, which I thought was kind of interesting. Like Doogie Howser.
Doogie.
Like, yeah. He plays a therapist or whatever.
Whoa.
Trinity and Neo are back in it. Trinity's in it again. Okay. So, yeah. Beyond that, I don't know. So I'm kind of waiting. The Matrix is probably my favorite movie trilogy.
Awesome. Yeah. Which one do you like of the best of the?
The third one.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very interesting.
Most people like the first one, but I get what you're saying because I'm thinking back on it, and it has a more epic scope in terms of what they present, the worlds that they present, the battle.
Yeah, I just like the way they ended it. I don't know. I like the fight at the end between the kind of the ideas. It was funny. They if you get one of the sets, they actually have a commentary of two movie critics tearing the movies apart. So they hired two critics to basically destroy their movies and say how much they sucked. And then they had a commentary with three philosophers watching it, explaining all the stuff behind it. And I'm like, oh, that's me. My minor is philosophy. So I totally got it. I was like, oh, I get it. Yeah, because my minor is philosophy in college.
Well, you would love The Green Knight.
I want to see that. I have not been able to get out there yet.
And did you watch it, Dean?
I did watch it, and it's fascinating. It's not. Although it's set in a medieval fantasy setting, and it is Arthurian in its flavor. It's a lot more of a philosophical and psychological exploration of Sir Gawain, as we call him. They call him Gawain a lot in Europe. But it's the idea of this young, not yet really accomplished knight wanting to do something to make himself famous and to earn honor and renown and so on. So he goes on this quest to defeat this supernatural being called the Green Knight. And it's really about the psychology of accepting who you are and making the right choice, and how we approach fear, and how courage is more important than fear, especially if you're a knight. And but they delve into it a lot deeper than that. I just wanted to do a thumbnail sketch of the description.
So
it's beautifully shot too. Beautiful.
Okay, now. Well, I've got a friend who actually left the theater because she thought it was so terrible. So, and I wondered. I will take your recommendation. Now we've discussed as far as those beautifully shot cerebral. I thought The Lighthouse was going to be amazing. I thought I was so looking forward to The Lighthouse with Willem Dafoe and Pattinson. I hated it.
Wow.
And I can do cerebral movies. I can do artsy. I can do. I get it. I don't need fast pace. I don't need action. I like the Lighthouse. I had no idea what was going on, and then it ended, and so we got in the car, my wife and I, and we had friends that came with us, and they all got on our phones, like we're trying to figure out what happened, and the same thing. The critics and the pontificators said the same thing. Like, well, we thought this, but then this happened. So then we thought this, but then this happened, and it all makes no sense. So, anyways, The Green Knight, if it's anywhere near like that, I don't know if I can do it. But if you say it's watchable, I'm gonna take
it's watchable going in knowing that what you're going to get is much more of a psychological exploration of what goes through this person's mind as they're trying to be a knight of the round table, and they're just a complete young man with all the flaws that young men have and who haven't really lived out in the real world very much, and they go on a quest and they learn from their mistakes. But it has interesting artistic visions that aren't necessarily, you might call them non sequitur, but the same way that vision sequences in Blade Runner are sometimes non sequitur, like the visions of the unicorns in Blade Runner. People are like, what are the unicorns doing in Blade Runner?
Do you know where that came from?
Huh?
Do you
that's
know
from Legend. Yeah,
he was filming Legend at the same time, and they were headshots of unicorn, so he threw them in there. Yeah,
right.
I didn't know that. Talk about a weird movie, Legend.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Right.
We had that one. I don't know how I had it, but we had it on cassette. It was taped off of something, and I shouldn't have watched that when I was a kid. What a weird movie.
Very odd. Very odd. But this is more. I don't want to say art house because people go, oh gosh, and I can't watch it if he's saying art house. You can still watch it. You're just going to have to be ready for the sort of odd
introspection.
Yeah, the introspection and the visionary sequences. It's not action adventure at all. It really is more of a drama with spectacular and odd visuals to it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So not quite like Disney's Sword in the Stone. So
nowhere near.
Maybe a little different.
A lot different. Not even. I was expecting more Excalibur.
Yeah.
And it's really not even that. It's a lot more drama than Excalibur. It really is. You're just following this main character through his growth and through his choices. And like I said, the vision sequences, you're going to be like, okay, man, you're making an art film. I get it. I'll roll with this. I don't really know what that means, but I will roll with this because I want to see where it's going. It's that kind of
I have to tell you that I have had way too much introspection in the last year. I want escapism.
It may not be for you, Barb. It may not.
I'm looking. That's why James Bond, October. I'm looking forward to that, and
yes,
Shang-Chi.
Hey, there's a question. Yeah. There's a question for you regarding Shang-Chi. Okay, is martial arts enough to have its own genre, or do we just lump that into action? Because it's a specific.
It really is
action.
It's a sub-genre of action adventure, but it is. I think it does go into its own little niche.
Because Aaron brought up the Matrix trilogy, and to me that's a kung fu movie with cyberpunk background. I mean, it's a kung fu movie, but a lot of people see it as straight sci-fi
action.
Right? Yeah. But or straight action sci-fi. But to me, it's kung fu because they're doing kung fu. The fights are all but it's got elements of all of that. But yeah, what do you guys think? Is Shang-Chi?
My biggest problem with it, and the movie looks cool. I'm glad they added more fantasy elements. Oh, America, I love you, but you can't do kung fu movies or martial arts movies to save your life. You can't. You just, after you see like a Chinese Jackie Chan movie or like The Raid from Indonesia, every time I see a martial arts movie in America, it just pales in comparison. And that was my biggest problem. It's like, oh, they're gonna do it's American made. Because it's all wire made, and I'm a stick. Because after you see I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Raid movies. They're from Indonesia. That stuff's amazing. What they were doing.
Have you seen any Jet Li movies?
Oh yeah.
Early career.
Oh yeah. If they took that, I remember they actually put the guys from the Raid. He's been in movies. They put him in the Star Wars movies. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna be, and they just wasted him. They killed him off. I'm like, what? These guys are amazing stuntmen. Come on.
Donnie Yen, right? Okay, here's the thing. The key to martial arts movies is don't make them too magical and don't make people fly, because why would you want to see a Bruce Lee 3D animated movie, right? You want to see Bruce Lee doing his amazing stuff because he's Bruce Lee and because he can really do it. So it's kind of like an animated boxing match. You're like, why do I want to watch two 3D animated figures box? I want to see two real guys box, right?
Go at it.
There's an element to that in martial arts movies. So to me, maybe you're touching on the artificiality and superficiality of adding too much wire and too much firework.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm just when they showed the trailer, they showed the dragons and the fantasy. I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. That's like a Dragon Ball Z pushing this sort of like fantasy element. Even though Dragon Ball Z was based off the Monkey King.
Right.
But it's, they can push that a little more. When it comes to stunt work or whatever, I mean, Australia's got him beat. Like, I've heard people talk about making like Mad Max in the movies. Like, they say, like, yeah, you risk your life making an Australian movie. You just outright risk your life doing it. Yeah. But just the way, I mean, I big budget, like, martial arts. This is almost like they did a pretty good job in the Daredevil TV show.
I thought that was well done.
Yeah, it was well done. But yeah, martial arts is like, you really got to let the martial artists be martial artists. Like, don't hinder them. Don't do blue screen. Don't, like, just let them go out and do what they're trained to do. And Americans don't do that, because Jackie Chan said this too. When he came to America, he's like, this is what I do for a living, stunts, martial arts. I mean, this is what I do. And like, nah, no, we can't because of lawyers. Because if you get hurt, we can get sued or whatever.
Yeah.
So they hamstrung him. And all his American movies tanked. It's like, because you're not letting Jackie Chan be Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan, right. There was one American movie you probably saw. It's kind of forgettable. It was Warner Brothers, I believe. And it was called Ninja Assassin.
Oh, I love Ninja Assassin.
Ninja Assassin is American, and it was pretty darn good.
That was Rain. Rain, the guy starred in that, is a famous pop singer in Korea. And
so, to me, that was pretty good. I mean,
it was good.
It had problems, but it's the closest to what you're talking about. What is Keanu Reeves' series, right?
Oh, yeah. In fact, the guys who did The Matrix, they produced it. That one of the guys, they said on
John Wick.
I think it was John Wick or something. He said, like, I want to make like the ultimate ninja movie, and they're like, okay, and they gave him a bunch of money and said, go do it. And he did. He made Ninja Assassin. Ninja Assassin is just like, it's a complete throwback and homage to all the ninja movies I grew up with in the 80s.
Yes.
All those, which I love those. And so if you ever get a chance to see it, it's absolutely cheesy.
It's so cheesy, but fun.
It's so fun. Yeah, it's gory. It's really gory, but in a stupid gory way. You'll see it. Like, they actually digitized the blood to look like, he wanted to make it look like anime blood.
Right.
So he wanted to mix that. Yeah.
It does. And the weapons he uses are those hooks on a chain, the Kasari.
Oh, I love those things. They made that weapon for the movie. They asked that. They're like, no, we made it up for the movie.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
If they got Shang-Chi anywhere close to Ninja Assassin, I'd be all for it. But I don't think that's what they're going to do.
I don't think it's going to. No, I think it's going to be much more Airbender. Disney Airbender.
Yeah.
Be a little too sparkly.
Oh yeah. I don't know why they even want to bother remaking Blade. I don't think you can remake Blade.
Blade is Blade. I mean,
the first Blade movie was just perfect.
Yes.
And that's the problem. It's like, you're trying to remake it. Yeah, everyone's just going to remember Wesley Snipes' Blade. He owned that character. Yes. And why would you want to put vampires into Marvel Universe? You really want to put something that sucks blood into family-oriented Marvel superhero movies? Well,
they have Morbius, so...
Yeah, but is that part of the Marvel Universe? I thought that was made by another studio.
No. Morbius is a Spider-Man villain from way back.
Oh yeah, I know, but I don't think it's part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah,
I think it's a separate movie.
No, you may be right about the movie part.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm not sure. Like, they want to bring Blade in. I'm like do Ghost Rider first. I mean, I actually do admit, like, the Ghost Rider movies aren't great, but the second Ghost Rider movie, if you've ever seen it,
I have,
number
yeah.
two. The way they did him with the smoke and stuff coming off was amazing. They nailed that look. He looks scary in that movie.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
The movie wasn't that great, but the way they nailed the Ghost Rider was just, I loved it. That was great. Bring that in. Would that be too scary? A flaming skull? I mean, I don't think so.
I mean, it's cool. It's cool, right? I mean, that's the whole. The litmus test is it cool?
Yeah. I would think I mean, some of the characters. I mean, they're talking right out of characters. I'm like, well, yeah, but you can bring all sorts of like cool characters that we haven't even really. You have like the whole New Warriors trope. I mean, like Nova and all these other characters, and and Shang-Chi, is cool. But I mean, wasn't he originally called Shang-Chi, the Master of Kung Fu? Wasn't that his original name in the comic?
Yes, and it was much more of okay. If you know the history of the TV series Kung Fu, you know that Bruce Lee was originally wanted to do it and was angling to do it, and because of the politics of the day and the racism of that day, they decided to go with David Carradine. Well, in the comic book world, everybody was like, okay, they might not be able to do it in television, but we can do it here. So they basically did Master of Kung Fu as a comic book, and they also blended a little bit of Fu Manchu, the Sax Rohmer fictional character, as his father, right? So, if those of you who don't know, Fu Manchu is a Chinese crime lord from the early 20th century. But anyway, the story was that Shang-Chi had this wicked crime lord father, but he's a good guy and he's trying to do good in the world, and his father's trying to always mess with him and thwart his adventures and so on. But it really was... it was sort of based on Bruce Lee with long hair, sort of long. A
lot of that stuff was was there any magic in the original comic? I don't think there was. He was just a martial artist.
As much. You had a little bit of what I call the black magic, sort of dark magic. For the villains, there would be sorcery and stuff in there every now and then. But for the most part, it was kung fu. It was action adventure. Did you ever see? Of course, you saw Enter the Dragon, right?
Oh yeah,
I would say Enter the Dragon is the first real Shang-Chi movie. Really.
Okay,
I mean, that's not the character's name, but really, I mean...
That's who he was, yeah.
That's really...
because that's...
Enter the Dragon is that, so...
Yeah, because I almost think it'd be funny if they made the Shang-Chi movie kind of, in a way, in like Big Trouble in Little China, which is one of my all-time...
Oh, wouldn't that be awesome?
Just like that sort of humor and stuff.
What a great comedy that was. And
just like the magic and all of that. Yes. And there was just something really cool. I don't know. I like I said, it looks different enough, and that's my biggest thing with the Marvel set. After 20 movies, even I'm like, okay, I don't want to see any more people in spandex. Just go away.
Just no more.
Like every time I see like a new movie, it's like they got superheroes in it. No, and I'm like, I might see it. But Shang-Chi looks different enough that I'm like, okay, I'll give it a shot. I never saw I never even saw the last Spider-Man movie. I think I caught like 20 minutes of it, and I was like, okay. Tom Holland, I don't know. And even when I was growing up, Spider-Man never did much for me. I don't know why that character. I liked his black suit. I thought that was cool. I read it when Todd McFarlane did it, but for some odd reason, that character never captured my imagination. People love him. I don't know. It just didn't do anything for me. Some of the movies, Andrew Garfield, I thought nailed that character as far as looking like Peter Parker and stuff.
Yeah.
I thought the first movie that he did, I thought that was actually pretty cool with the lizard.
Sure.
But so I'd be curious to see how they do the Fantastic Four. I know that's coming up. And if
is it really?
Yeah, it's on the slate.
Yeah, it's on the slate. I don't know when.
I missed that.
But
oh gosh, again.
They need to get all they got to do is get Doctor Doom right. If you get Doctor Doom right, and you get the family interaction of the Fantastic Four right, dude, you got it.
See the first one with Captain America.
Oh yeah,
Chris Evans when he was in him.
Yeah. I liked the
hot shot.
I thought it was a little slow. It took a long time to develop, but it was a great character development movie. Great setting the stage. And then the second one, they might as well have called The Four Stooges because it was so stupid. It was so I couldn't. It made me. Oh, it made me angry. I would have wasted. I never saw that one.
I did like the way they did the Silver Surfer. I thought he was kind of
cool. Oh yes.
Yeah.
But and then the one that came out a couple years ago, I paid no attention to it because I mean, who cares? I don't know. I didn't care. It didn't fit in anything. It didn't.
Yeah, they were always explorers of the unknown. So that was always I liked when they pushed that aspect of
Yes.
And they tend not to push the superhero aspect because they were more like the Science Squad. Of Marvel, and I think they can do that, but they always try to push them as superheroes. Cool.
Yeah, it would have been cool, and I know we've also discussed about the world spinning out of control, and there's so much to it, but the having readers with either Pym or Tony, in that have them be peers and but I guess maybe he might be too similar to Tony in the smart guy world, the nerd world. I know he's not, but when you have to trim the characters down to fit 2 hours and so forth, because
that's
Bruce.
That's my biggest problem with the Marvel Universe is the villains. They keep they destroyed Ultron. Why? Ultron was such a cool character, and they made him like this snarky robot that got he got beat up at the end easily. I'm like, no man, this guy's supposed to be like literally the Terminator. Right,
he shouldn't go away. Yeah.
He's just, and they just made him we started making snarky comments. I'm like, okay, and they literally completely decimated Thanos. I don't care what anyone says. When he did it all to appease death to get a date, that was awesome. What he did in the other movie, which is absolutely ridiculous. Everybody saw that. Well, if I take away half the resources, or half the life, we'll save resources. And then people just repopulate again like rabbits, so that's only a stopgap. So I'm just like, I know what they were trying to do, but it was just like, he was such a cool character in the books, and they just literally just took him out back and shot him for Disney. They really did. I'm sorry. After that, I'm like, okay, Disney, I'm kind of done. I love the Captain America. I like that. They got Tony Stark, but man, the villains, they got to get that right. At least one of these right.
Cleanse your palate with Darkseid in Zack Justice League, man.
I like.
Whoa,
that guy was cool. Darkseid and the way they did. I just like the more serious villains. You can let the heroes be snarky, but just the villains have to be imposing. And when you literally have Thanos crying on screen, I'm like, okay, come on, There's no crying in villainy,
Are you crying? There's no crying.
There's no crying in super villainy? What are you doing?
I know.
I can just picture Dr. Doom walking up to him and just backhand.
Not
crying here.
See, that's what they're going to do with Dr. Doom. Is they're going to make Dr. Doom like this sort of
Dr. Doom should be like Vader.
He's a megalomaniac. And they don't do that. Don't, especially with Dr. Doom. He's a megalomaniac. He is literally like,
Well, if you show the transformation, you can introduce him as Victor and show, look, he's as smart as Reed. They're the two big brains of the Marvel U, right? Reed and Victor. And then Victor chooses the dark side, right? So if you get into his head and figure out why he's the way he is, then when he starts talking about himself in the third person, it's just fun.
They just need to. Because my favorite villain was Kang the Conqueror. I always loved him. And they said, we're thinking about bringing Kang the Conqueror in. I'm like, yeah, you're going to mess that up too.
Yeah,
they're going to do something.
Loki. He's in Loki. If you see...
Is he in Loki? Okay, I haven't seen Loki yet. So, because he's such a straightforward, he just likes to conquer things. He's Genghis Khan of outer space. He just likes to conquer. It's very simple, Disney. Don't mess it up. Don't add any more stuff to it. It's really. You just almost want to. I almost want to sit down with these people. Like, look, quit overcomplicating simple ideas. You're killing me here. You're killing me, Smalls. I swear to God, you're killing me. It's real simple. Well, no, we have to add it. No, you don't. Do we have to all these other subtext? No, you don't. You really don't have to do this. This is just It's like it's like, oh man, this and the Disney movies are getting the Marvel movies. Actually, if you watch the old ones, are much simpler. They've grown more complex. The plots have gone along to the point where look, you can take out half of these plot points and still have an effective movie.
Right.
Like you can actually like the Black Widow one. Okay, you can take out the whole like family dynamic and still have an effective movie. You didn't even push it. There's tons of stuff where I'm like, okay, you're going off and you have like the girl and the mind control. Yeah, you could take that out and just say all of them are trying to assassinate you because you're a traitor. You could take that whole mind control thing out. That's gone. You can just wipe all of this stuff clean and just say, look, they're coming after you because you left like you were an assassin. You left the assassin. They're all trying to kill you because you're a traitor. That's it.
And I'm sorry, this I may have totally missed it. I might have missed something somewhere in all the movies. There's a lot of movies. Who was that character that was her handler? That she moved into the trailer for about 12 minutes and then watched Moonraker? What was she watching?
Watch Moonraker, yeah.
I have no idea. You mean he was like the
who's that
African
guy
American
that
gentleman?
got the gun? Yeah, he got the guns for, and then got the helicopter. And who was that?
He was just a contact. I mean, he's not.
I didn't. But why not find a character that's been there before so we can care? I'm sorry. It's like they bring these people in like I don't care. If this guy dies right now.
Well, to Aaron's point, I have to say this. It feels like they're trying to give the Balrog a motivation, right? Like, you're the Balrog in Lord of the Rings. We don't need to know about your angst and your problems. You're the Balrog, okay?
I'm sure Tolkien wrote that somewhere. He's got a back.
He's got some
motivation. Brothers, yeah.
It's like
the Thanos thing.
Guy, and the way they just zoom into Legolas and he has that look of fear, and then Gandalf says he's a demon from the ancient world. That's it. Yeah. That's it. That's all you need.
Just
demon from the ancient world. Boom.
But why?
Why? That's all.
Why is he so mad? His mother abandoned him in hell. Well,
we don't.
Why? Where's his father now?
I know,
right?
Do they communicate? Has he tried to patch things up?
Same thing with the Black Widow, like the whole Taskmaster subplot. You could have taken out the whole fact he was a daughter, and still would have worked.
Yep.
Yeah. All of that would have worked. It's like you keep throwing in stuff that doesn't go anywhere. It's like, hey, but isn't it clever and tongue in cheek? No, it's boring. It doesn't pay off. Who's a Taskmaster? It's this kid's daughter. Okay, I saw like 5 minutes of this kid's daughter in the movie, so I'm not supposed to be like bawling my eyes out when I find out she's been turned into the Kung Fu Master, I guess. And I was assuming like it's gonna be like Black Widow's mother. That would have been easy, right? But no, we can't.
No.
We're past 9:30 on the Eastern time here. Brent is joining us. Brent, we've been talking about genres and how our titles fit, and we put Kalis firmly into. I was trying to be clever and come up with something stupid, but we put you in the sci-fi genre. If we had to put you on a shelf, if we were at the bookstore, we put you in sci-fi. But we understand that all of our titles generally kind of have elements of other genres. Were we correct in our assessment, would you say?
Yeah. A little bit of superhero in there. Government conspiracy isn't necessarily a genre, but X-Files is a government conspiracy sci-fi kind of mashup. So maybe something like that.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay.
So good job, guys. Sorry I'm late, by the way.
That's okay. That's okay. We
don't have a great
we got stuff going on. We are going to start wrapping up here soon, though. We did get started very late as well. But what I wanted to ask you, Brent, you're from Florida, right?
I'm in Florida.
You're in Florida. You live in Florida presently. Okay. So September 18th and 19th, what are you up to? You got plans?
Well, I was thinking of going to the beach, actually.
Okay.
The Daytona Beach Comic.
Yes. So if someone wanted to say hello, shake your hand, or whatever, they can come to the Daytona Beach.
Better.
Fist bump. Okay, they can. Daytona Beach Comic Convention, right? September 18th and 19th. That's fantastic. They're gonna say hello to you. They might even get a card with your face, like your face on it. There's a chance that first 250 people are gonna get posters. Did you know that, Brent? 250 posters. So tell all your friends, be there first to grab a poster. Haley's gonna be there, and we got others. Lots of Silverliners are going to be there. I don't want to cut us off too quickly, but we are. This is the time to say goodbye. Haley, I'm glad you joined us. We didn't give you much opportunity to chime in. Oh, that was going to be my question. Okay, genre. All of you, you walk into a bookstore. You are given money for one book and one book only. What genre do you go to? I'll start. You have enough money to buy one book. It's a toss-up with sci-fi or fantasy for me, but I'm gonna go to fantasy because I read so many fantasy books as a kid. It's like part of me, part of my being. I bought a book that I used to own that I can't find, and I'm too lazy to search for, so I went and bought it again because I wanted to reread it. The Raymond Feist Rift War saga came out in '82, I believe. Really good. Magician Apprentice, Magician Master, the Silver Thorn and Darkness at Cephanon are those. So if I had money to buy one book, I'm going over to the fantasy section. Haley, what about you?
Yeah, same. I feel like a toss up between sci-fi and fantasy. Totally sure. And then, like, is this just novels? Like, where are comics in all this?
Okay, yes, okay. Yeah, graphic. If we're in the bookstore, it's going to be a lot of trade paperbacks or graphic novels. That's good. Yeah, so...
No.
But, yeah, so you walk over to the graphic novel shelves, then what? Then what genre, Haley? You're making it difficult.
I know. Because those are more. I mean, are those? I guess depends on the store. Because is it just kind of like graphic novels, tough. Or are they separated by like genre, or do they tend to consider graphic novels their own genre?
They really, they put like Barnes Noble puts graphic novels all on the shelves, and it's just alphabetical or by. I don't know what their system is there.
That's it. Night, baby.
I think they're doing Marvel, DC, and other.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I think that's how they do it.
So okay. Fantasy, if you got to grab a book, or you're going to go over to the graphic novels, and then you're going to have a real quandary.
Yeah,
but
I like
that's where Haley's gone.
Yeah, kind of standalone graphic novels or series, as opposed to like the ones which like I do enjoy, like the Marvel and DC characters, but I still like don't know where to start with like the really long continuing like. But if it's more of here's like a collection of that's like good to read. I'm like, okay, maybe I'll start with that. But yeah, I do gravitate more towards like a graphic novel than single issues, definitely.
Sure. Okay, Brent, what about you? You're walking into the bookstore.
Do they have tchotchke there? Because actually, that'd be cheating. Okay,
you're going right up to the counter. You're buying the little $5.
They have the vinyl pop I've been looking for all my life. I think I'd probably still go to the trade paperbacks because I don't know. There's something about me. I don't need to own books. I can borrow them from the library. I'm fine.
Yeah.
But comics are different. For some reason, I want them to stick around. So I love going to the graphic novels. Is such a pretentious term. It's trade paperback. It's okay, people. I read comics. Okay, yes, it's not Archie anymore, but I am still loud and I'm proud. But as to what I would buy, I actually keep a running list on my phone of the trades that the holes I have in my runs. Like I'm missing a couple of Scalped right now. I'm missing a few of Chew and Manifest Destiny and a couple others. So I'd start looking like for the holes in my collection. That's what I do. I'm very methodical, which is to say not terribly creative. So sorry.
That works. Thank you. Aaron, what about you?
I'll probably say fantasy. It'd be in the comic book section, but I'm always looking for like the diamond in the rough, something I've never seen before that looks cool, usually artistic wise. So that's usually like So I don't know, a genre. If it looks cool, I don't really mind the genre. I've bought all sorts of random stuff. This is why I drive comic book store owners nuts, because I'll go walking through the store for like 45 minutes and not buy anything. I'm like, it's just nothing cool, dude. Sorry.
Nothing's good.
I used to collect series, and I haven't for a long time collected any series. I think the only ones I may collect, I'm collecting the Judge Dredd omnibuses, so I need to get those. I think I'm up to 12. But beyond that, I usually just buy random comics. Mostly I've been going towards independent comics outside of comic stores. So stuff. But yeah, my stuff's pretty random as far as genre. I mostly stick towards fantasy. I do like horror if horror's done right, but it's hard to find good. It's hard to find good horror comics with good art. I don't know why.
Yeah.
They always kind of mess up, and I was like, yeah, if they have really good art in it, I'll go for it. But yeah, they always kind of mess it up. I'm like, well. So that's probably my take.
All right, Dean.
Definitely fantasy. Lord of the Rings being my favorite trilogy. I was also as a kid, I read a lot of sci-fi. I love science fiction, but if you had to say choose one, it would definitely be fantasy. There's a couple of things. Haley, if you've never read the collected Sandman from Vertigo, I think you would like Sandman. You may want to just pick it up and just read it. Fantasy, but also just a fantastic world that Neil Gaiman created, where it's characters called the Endless, and we are introduced to that world through the Sandman, who's the master of dreams. And so you have other concepts, but what Neil Gaiman did is he took concepts like despair and death and made them individuals. So it's very cool. You might like it. And then Aaron, something for you. If you've never read Roger Zelazny's Chronicles of Amber.
I think I've read it.
Okay. The first one is called Nine Princes in Amber. It's about a royal family, and it's pure fantasy. They actually can travel dimensionally using playing cards with their images on them.
That sounds kind of cool.
It's really cool, and it is really cool. I read it in high school, so I don't know. It might be dated now. Like you might go, "Oh man, that's really immature," but you also might like it. It's sort of a courtly intrigue series. Okay.
I used to read a lot of the series Myth by Robert Asprin. The Myth.
Okay,
series.
it's in that realm.
Oh yeah,
it's in that realm. Yeah. So it's Nine Princes in Amber. I think you.
Nine Princes in Amber. Okay, yeah, I'll write that down.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Hey, this is a good opportunity for us to wrap up, I think. I don't want to cut anybody off, but it is time for us to start saying goodnight. This has been Wednesday Wham. Everybody out there, don't forget, there is a Sunday show. There's a Tuesday show. We have podcasts. We have our craft blog at silverlinecomics.com, where we try to update that regularly. We have tons of titles at silverlinecomics.com that will take you over to indieplanet.com, and you can grab copies of almost every title that we have put out. We're working on updating those as we go. Indie Planet, the folks at Indie Planet do a great job. You can buy print copies from there. We have Kickstarters coming up. I haven't gotten the 100% go ahead on news, so stay tuned for all those the breaking news, that what's coming from Silverline. And then don't forget, September 18th and 19th, put it on your calendar, Daytona Beach Comic Convention. There's going to be tons of Silverliners there that you can meet, say hello, get autographs, chat about our titles, maybe get some secret inside information about what's coming up. Don't know. We'll see. But we love to meet you. As always, throw your comments in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, all those good things on all of our social media outlets, Facebook, Instagram. We're tossing stuff up on LinkedIn. So you just search for Silverline Comics, and we are trying to be everywhere we can be so we can provide the best stories, best genre-spanning, mind-blowing, action-packed, street-level, butt-kicking, explosion-punching, fantasy, magic, everything that you ever wanted in picture form and sequential art. and we've got it. So that's that. I'm going to say goodnight. Good night, everybody that's been here. Dean, Aaron, Brent, Haley, thank you for joining us. We have had a great time together, and we will see you next week. As always, never forget. Make mine. Silver line. Good night, everybody. See ya.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.